Ever wondered how someone can go from a rock bottom to creating one of the coolest product of the year? Nick Barrett, founder of Code Brick LLC, with no prior experience in product development, has transformed his life and business through grit and innovation. Featured on the Today's Show and on the shelves of major retailers soon, Nick's story is not just about success, it's about building something meaningful from the ground up. Today, we explore his incredible journey of recovery, resilience, and entrepreneurship. I am your host, Ash, and this is a show where I interview proven founders and industry experts who share their stories, strategies, and insights to help you build, launch, and grow your business. So I hope you enjoy the show. Nick, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Ash, for having me.
Great. Do you have a favorite quote, something that inspires or motivates you that you would like to share with our audience?
So I don't know if I can think of one particular quote off the top of my head, but I would say in the past year or two, I've really paid a lot more attention to different cliches. And I think the reason for that is, there's a variety of them, which are, quotes, if you will.
Mm,
And I think the reason for that is um, they resonate with people. So that's why they've been around and they've got some sense of truth to them. So sorry, I can't think of a quote off the top of my head that I reference all
that's
the
not a
time.
problem. That's not a problem. So tell us about Code Break then. What does the product do? Who is it for? And what's the main problem you're helping to solve?
Yeah, the main problem was, invented out of laziness, which is common for many entrepreneurs, actually.
Mhm.
I just kind of had a problem where my phone charger would fall off the side of my bed and onto the floor when I was in bed, ready to go to sleep.
Mhm.
I either couldn't reach having the cord plugged in when it was in the wall at the same time as using my phone right before bed or something like that. Right between the nightstand and the bed, there's that little gap. And so I thought, okay, I should just invent a brick because I didn't want something that was adhesive. I think one of the issues for me at the time was I was traveling a lot and moving around. And so with adhesive, you got to leave it wherever you stick it. Um, not, some adhesive can come off, but most of it, either leaves residue or it's hard to peel off, or once you peel it off, it doesn't work as well again. So I thought I'll just invent a brick that can
Mhm.
hold my cord, and then I could even wrap my cord around it too. And the reason I thought of that is I had looked at my competition and they kind of only did one thing, just hold cords, either with some weight or with adhesive. And that was where the idea came from. Just thinking about a very simple concept for a very simple problem that I just experience pretty much every night. Then some of the other features of it and functions of it came later and were additional. But that was the main initial problem, that falling cord.
Got it. Got it. And I love that, you know, uh, nowadays founders look at a problem and then they try to figure out, okay, how many people it affects, and then how big is the sam, and then like they want to reflect that it's a big problem, and then most of the time it's not, and then potentially they just fall into the trap of that, loving their idea, right? But you focused on a very niche, very uh, acute small problem, right? That part I love. um so you said that when you had this epiphany, you looked into the market and there were other products, but obviously they were not exactly what you were looking for. What did you do next? Because I think I interviewed quite a lot of people on this show, and most of them do focus on digital side of the product development, but this is something which is like a product which you kind of have to manufacture, right? It's a physical product, and I'm sure there's tons of challenges in that whole process. So what did you see from your research that encouraged you to move ahead with it?
Yeah. I wasn't the smartest person in my high school class or certainly college class. And, um, you know, terms like TAM and SAM, total addressable market. I didn't even know what TAM stood for.
Mm,
SAM, I'm not actually even sure exactly what that is, to be honest with you. Um, so those concepts weren't in my mind. I just thought, where is there a niche in the market? Is there a spot in the market that I think could be big enough for this product? And then I think one of the other things I thought about was, how much does this product cost to make? I had some
Mm,
bigger ideas and some more complex ideas, but as you said, this is a very simple product. It's a relatively small problem. I mean, the people who have the problem, if it's your last $10, you're probably not buying a cord brick with it, right? To be
mm,
fair. So it's a luxury problem to a degree. However, pretty much everybody these days has a phone. Every adult, anyways. And so when I looked at the market, kind of the picture I looked at was, okay, there's a new space, and some people call this the blue ocean strategy, a new space for an entire new category. And so one product I compare CordBrick to is actually Pop Sockets. Pop Sockets was the first phone grip at the time that did sort of what it did. There were some hinges and variations of phone stands and whatnot, but Pop Sockets was a really unique product, and I think many products followed that product. And with CordBrick, we've got a very similar comparison to that product with the direct-to-consumer space, the wholesale retail space, and then the promotional product space. This product is a branded, logoed product, is inexpensive enough that it can be bought in bulk, and people who, particularly high ticket sales, but brands of all kinds. It's a great spot for to get your logo next to someone's nightstand or on their desktop in plain view as well. So it's a pretty unique product in that it has multiple channels in which it does well in. And so, did I know that initially when I was launching the product? I'm not sure that I did. But and then if it didn't have that extra, some of the extra functionality that I call now, its ability to be a phone accessory, um, would it have done so well? Because the initial product that I created and actually had to scrap completely, the design wasn't really capable of doing what the product is now, in that it can kind of grab and stand your phone, balance it, prop it up,
mhm.
etc. And so that has become a key bonus feature of the product, along with thankfully getting the utility patent that we were able to get on the functionality of the product, which incorporates its design quite largely. So all of
Mm.
those things made it a pretty clear picture in my head of where we could go with this product and brand. And not to get too far ahead, but we've launched a second brick product, so we're kind of taking the brick name and creating other similar style problem solving products to fill out a brand, and then reach our eventual goal of getting acquired.
Got it, got it. And I like that you made it very simple. You just named it what it is, a chord brick, which is like a brick for your chords. So that's pretty impressive though. And I would like to talk about like what was going on in your mind while you were, thinking about the name. But before we go into that, another just a follow-on question on the same thing. You figured out there is a niche, you tried to figure out that how much it will cost you to manufacture it, because obviously it's a product with some degree of luxury, and then you figure out that what makes it different from the product which is already available in the market, right? um, most of the people who doesn't have any experience in manufacturing, they usually give up at this stage because the challenges you have to go through to even get a proof of concept like a demo product is huge when it comes to manufacturing industry, right? I wanted to know like what step or what baby steps you took in order to get your first version, no matter if you have scrapped it, or the process you followed to get your first version in your hand.
Yeah. So I had heard the term minimum viable product before, the MVP, and I had done a business plan competition with a friend where we won some money at FAU, and gotten to the final, Shark Tank pitch round. Very exciting for us. And so I had a little bit of experience, kind of, writing business plans, but The way that I got my first product in hand was just going to Michael's craft store and buying some modeling clay and just
Mm.
molding it with my hands. There's a catalyst and a base, and you mix these two things together, and eventually they cure. And you've got a solid piece that you've sort of molded in your hands. And then I had done that 3 or 4, 5 times to create something a little more visually appealing. And so then I went right around and I started asking people at a local shopping center here in town, and they had given me a wide range of prices that they would pay for it. And to my
Mm.
surprise, most of the people reacted quite favorably. Yes, I experienced this problem, and one person had said they would pay $20 for this little brick,
Wow.
and even at the prices I was paying for this molding clay, I could make money on that. And it's
Mm.
quite expensive. This this little couple little samples of clay that you've got to buy to make that stuff. Anyways, um, then I kind of actually took some time and didn't start the business right after that. But when I got back to the product, one of the thoughts I had was, this is relatively inexpensive. I've got a lot of
Mm.
different ideas, but to make this product is not going to cost a lot. And now that I know a little bit more about manufacturing, turns out I was right. I didn't know how right I was. I mean, the process for making this product is relatively cheap. So the
Mm.
molds and the other equipment you need, and the ability to do different quantities in a very small volume for not much difference in a cost is pretty unique and fortunate for this product. But it took me a while to get there. I mean, first I think I took, instead of a baby step, a leap. I jumped right towards a manufacturer in the U.S. I mean, that was my initial thought was, yeah, of course I want to make this product in the U.S. So let's reach out to a U.S. manufacturer and start getting going with a mold. But I skipped the prototyping phase. And later I had to come back to it because I ended up having to scrap that mold and go out of the country to eventually source a manufacturer and do some more prototyping and get the cost down to where it eventually I realized it needed to be to make this a successful business. And one of the things you probably know about businesses is if you have a very low price product like mine, very simple rule, you've got to sell a lot of them to
A
make as much
lot of that.
money as
Yeah.
another business that only has a high ticket item only has to sell a few. So there are a lot of challenges associated with that.
Cool. And you mentioned that you didn't do POC, and that was something which you had to come back to at some point, which is good. And I want to come back to that. Um, so when you got your first MVP, you must be excited. Oh, I got my product in my hand. Now let me sell it to everyone, right? Now, I speak to a lot of founders, and the most challenging part is the marketing and sales, right? In your case, I think because it's a physical product, I'm not sure which direction you went, but some people actually go towards like crowdfunding, like Kickstarter, things like that. What was your journey like? How did you go? Let's say if we jump through the step where you got the prototype and then you throw it and then you got another one and then finally when you got the right kind of product in your hand, what was the strategy you took in order to go forward and market it so that you can grab a little bit of market share at the first instance and then sell it at scale?
Yeah, I mean, so this is it's almost an embarrassing story in my opinion now, because it took me almost a year to get my first real product in my
Mm.
hands because we failed the first 6 months with the product and had to scrap a mold and scrap a bunch of material, and then I finally went the prototyping route, and we tested and had tested different channel sizes and little gaps in between and different things like that and different channel shapes and rounded squares and circles. And we were really fine tuning lots of aspects of the product because it was so small. I realized that millimeters really mattered with this thing.
Mm.
And so there was a little more engineering that went into it than I originally had expected. And so then we finally got a product to market. But for anyone who's watching, if you take a look at this product now, there's it looks the same on both sides basically.
Yeah.
But our first version had a slug of steel, just basically a cut off piece of bar, and
Hmm.
one end of it was exposed. And believe it or not, the way that we packaged it was I printed out pieces of paper, I cut them with the paper cutter, and I folded them little trifold brochures, and then I'd slip it with each one in a Ziploc plastic bag. Usually the bag that my manufacturer had packed each one in, they had zipped it up in an individual baggie.
Yeah.
So I opened it up, put it back in there, and then I would go and sell at the flea market, and we ended up selling those on Amazon. And I
Wow.
mean, I actually could not believe, that the product rated above a 4.0, rated 4.2 on that first version on Amazon. Now we've got the new version on there, which I got last year, late 2023. So it took a whole nother year to kind of, redesign that product, really 2 years, and get it to market as well. So,
How many of them
now,
you sold?
only
How
as
many
of
of them?
last November do we really have our.
Sorry, I just wanted to know how many of them you sold in the flea market, because I want to know. This is very, very interesting. Your story is very relevant. And
It's
how many of them you sold on Amazon to get this 4.2 rating?
Yeah, so I remember my first day going to the flea market with my official product, and I had tried to sell it on my website. The first thing I launched was cordbrick.com, and thought, oh, I'll just direct people to the website, and I was getting no sales, and my advertising money was way negative, and so someone said, go to the local flea market. It was November at the time, and so coming up to holiday season, and I went there, and one in Fort Myers, Florida. I'm in Naples, Florida, and you mentioned that messaging is really important in marketing. And let me tell you, like with a product that in a mind like mine, I mean, you start realizing like, okay, I can use this product for lots of different things. It's kind of a multi-tool. So I realized there was lots of different features, and it's like I had to figure out the proper method and way of selling and pitching the product. I mean, it was my first time demonstrating anything of my own anyways. It's a brand new product, and so it's new to every customer. It's new to me to how to sell. And so first day I sold 10 units, and I was absolutely stoked. I mean, I remember the second day driving to the flea market. They were open Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So Saturday I'm driving to the market again, calling my mentor and just screaming at the top of my lungs, I can't believe they bought it. It's unbelievable. They gave me money. They love the product. This is going to work. And so, that excitement and getting in front of people was great. Eventually, I worked up, our peak season, if you will, in Florida is January, February, March. So there are more people after the holidays, but I worked up to 15, 20, 25, 30, and I eventually was selling 50 a day at this one market. And, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So 150 or so in a weekend. And, one day I sold 65, and I was selling them for $10 a piece, with this exposed metal Ziploc plastic bag, folded up piece of paper inside. I mean, but it proved to me, and people are coming back and buying more after they had just bought some, because people would return to the flea market, but it was mostly new customers. So I
Mm.
eventually figured out the pitch. I eventually figured out the setup on the table. At first, I was showing it as a pencil holder, and I would say, "Oh, it's a paperweight," and all kinds of other stuff that's not really relevant to the person buying it. So it's really critical. You only have a certain amount of words that you can say until you lose people, and they get too confused, and they say, oh, "Yeah, know what? Never mind." So, but I kept hearing at the market, "You should go on Shark Tank. Have you been on Shark Tank? Are you going to go on Shark Tank?" And things like that. And let me tell you, those same people at the flea market, I get that question from professional buyers buying for big corporations. So they saw it even at that level. And, I got that feedback. And if you have enough people independently sort of tell you this, it's a really big validation, because you can kind of expand that out, and, selling that many at that little market. Sorry to go on so long here, but it really is exemplary of a small sample size of how it might work on a grand scale.
Indeed, indeed. So from what you mentioned, that you started selling it on your website where you were putting some marketing money, but there was no sale at all. And then somebody, one of your mates, suggested you to go to the local flea market where you started going and then doing your pitches. And then day one, you sold 10. And then eventually every day you started selling 50, 60. And then weekend, you reached up to 150 a day. Oh my God, that is awesome. How about Amazon? How did you figure out about Amazon and how much you were selling there?
Yeah, to be fair, we had 65 in a day one time. It was 150 per weekend was, I think, our max. But either way, it grew quite a bit. as we
Yeah.
went on. And then, yes, that was a logical next step. Was I realized that we needed to get this product on Amazon. I had heard from a lot of different people that Amazon was, a great way to move a lot more volume than you thought you would. And then once you get it there, you don't have to do too much. Now, it turns out that's actually not accurate. You've got to do a ton of advertising management, and you need to spend a lot of money on ads to just kind of get them going. But I did get on there in November of 2022, and we started to sell quite a few for the keyword stocking stuffers. And that was
Mhm.
when I think the business really started to take off, because we realized that this is not just a cord management tool. And other competitors of mine that I had just mentioned that they have just one use, cord holders or even some cord wrapping tools may be a competitor of this product. Because it is multi-use and multifunction and can provide a bunch of different solutions and unique. I think people feel more comfortable gifting it, and so it converted well for that stocking stuffer term. And on Amazon, that's really the term that has taken us, off in Q4. I'm very excited again because we've
Mm.
gotten some gift lists and going on some TV specials again this year. Made it on the Today Show actually last year
Mhm.
with the product as a stocking stuffer. So that was when they wanted to feature it. So and that's a huge market, the gift buying market, of course. So very fortunate to kind of, with our new category of product, break into that market.
Awesome, awesome. And one thing I wanted to understand, which you touched a little bit while you were talking about the messaging. What was the messaging you have learned through your hundreds of pitches in the flea market and your research? What is the final messaging you ended up with, which started getting you more traction? So, how do you sell the brick now? What do you say to the people?
Yeah, great question. And I know it exactly because I've done this, 10,000 times. So I can
Mhm.
basically go through it here right now. I've got a
Sure.
cord. And so I've got a cord in a cord brick, and I've usually got another cord brick right next to it that's got a cord wrapped up on it. And then I've got a third cord brick that has a phone standing in it, but I can do this with just one. So, you
Mhm.
know, someone walks by or I'm showing or introducing the product to them, I say, hey, do you ever drop your phone cord? And oftentimes I'll drop it, pop it right out of cord brick and say, like off the nightstand. And they often say every night. And so then I say, yeah, when you take your cord to go, do you ever get it tangled or whatnot? With this, you just snap, wrap, trap, and then you can unwrap untangled. And so then I show that and people say, oh, wow, look at that unwrap untangled. It's got a 2-point wrapping system if you can't see. So you wrap the tip at one side, wrap the bulk around the brick, and then you pop the other end, trap it in the other side. And then when you pop that out, it just always comes unwrapped, untangled. And then I say, hey, look, these little end channels here, they can flex open and they can even grab your phone. So it's very
Mhm.
simple. Problem, solution, problem, solution, problem, solution. 1, 2, 3, just like that. I can get that done sometimes 15 seconds or so if someone's watching.
Mhm.
And so that basically does it. Click, click, click. They realize, no one has a solution for this. And,
Mhm.
I think one thing, I didn't bring the manufacturing knowledge into this product. There's actually a lot of manufacturing challenges with the product to be the shape that it is.
Mhm.
But I get people saying like, "Oh, it's cute. Oh, it just looks so nice." It's symmetrical. People like symmetry, and so I think it's just kind of appeasing to the eye as well. And it
Mhm.
doesn't feel offensive on a nightstand or a desk. It's square, which is the same shape as most desks and nightstands. So I'm not sure if I even was conscious of that when I was designing the product, but I think it is a selling feature. When they see it too in person, I always try to get people to pick it up too. You know, and when I'm doing the pitch, I will hand one that I have to someone. So, in person on the stores and the messaging, we're now putting on all of our displays, pick up a brick. It's heavy. Just to incentivize people to go and grab it and pick up the product off the shelf. You see displays and whatnot do a similar, message as this on their displays just to get the product in the consumer's hands, get them touching and feeling it as well.
Got it. Got it. That is so awesome. And do you started learning about customizing it? For example, color choice. For example, some people like red, some people like blue, green. Did that happen at some point, or is it just one color?
Yeah, I mean, we sold out of our, I had done like a dark gray and a light gray to start, and we had sold out of the dark gray quicker than any other color. I'd had some other colors, pink and blue and green. But we've expanded to 8 colors now, and I've got 3 shades of what I call neutral. So we've got a black, a medium gray, and then a light gray. I don't really do a white. The off white, the light gray is the closest we get. It seems it hides dust a little bit better, and then also people just think that white's going to get dirty, even though with silicone it doesn't
Mm,
really. You can clean it off
mm,
quite well, but either way, so there, there's quite a lot of thought that goes into choosing all those colors. That medium gray sells quite well. I mean, you could go with just the light and then the dark color, but that charcoal gray is pretty popular. I think people like it. It's quite stylistic. Um, and then we've got now an aqua color, a coral color, and then a mint color. So these are kind of like some pastels, if you will, beachy colors, outside colors, and
mhm.
then the blue and the pink. So the classic, bold blue and kind of hot pink. And what's interesting is all the colors pretty much sell fairly similarly. Maybe green doesn't sell as well as the other ones, but it sells enough that I still want to keep it. I like the green. And
Mm.
we're even adding glow in the dark. And what's cool, we had glow in the dark in the past, and I discontinued it, but we're bringing it back because we've had a lot of people reach out to me, and it adds a little extra functionality with the glowing feature, and that's actually the one that I use. So I kind of wanted to bring it back anyways.
Awesome, awesome. That's great. And I wanna touch base on the fact that after doing all these research and doing front end sales with the customer face to face, you realize that this could be a very good fit for gifting or corporate gifting sort of side. But before we jump into that, would you be able to give our listeners a sense of the size of the business, how many units you have sold till date, and then the size of the team?
I can't really talk about our revenue numbers right now, but we grew 5.5 times last year and 10x the year before, and the year before that was our first year of business.
Mhm.
And we expect to grow 2 to 3 times this year. We're almost at 1x our revenue of last year. But you would think, oh well, how are you expecting 2 or 3x? Well, quarter 4 is quite big, and as you mentioned, there's multiple channels to our business now that we didn't have last year. And so our direct to consumer sales are way up. I actually need to do the numbers to go look exactly how much, but I'm not actually that focused on that right now because we've got such Q4 is just so busy with needing content and preparing for things, and we've got so many different opportunities, thank goodness, this year, and we are
Mhm.
spending a lot of money in those opportunities. So I, I don't know if that answers your question
Yeah, yeah.
sufficiently.
It's perfectly fine. I mean, and how about the team? How many people you work with, and how is going on?
Oh, right, right. Yeah, so I've got about 6 people on my team right now. Some of them are based around the world. We've got a couple of people in the U.S., but
Hmm.
from all over the place, and then some freelancers as well. So um, we're continuing to grow. I hope to get a warehouse space or an office this year. We're currently renting space and using a fulfillment company to move some of our product and do actually a lot of self fulfillment because it's not too difficult. We don't have too many SKUs yet, and so our warehouse isn't too far away either. So we can just kind of do some of the smaller orders still, but um, uh, definitely are looking into a warehouse and then some perhaps printing and other prototyping sort of facilities and bring more of the team under the same roof next year.
Awesome, awesome, perfect. So let's talk about this B2B side of this business. You mentioned that there were some opportunities you found out where you think that it would be a good fit for gifting purposes. I feel the same way because if I'm giving it to my mates, I would definitely choose it because why not? It solves their problem, and the guys are very simple. They don't have to think much about gifting, right? Just take it and go. So what was the approach you so first, how did you found out about this, and I know that you mentioned that when you started selling it on Amazon, you found a keyword stalking stuffer which was really good for the product, and then what steps you taken next to reach out to your corporate customers?
Yeah, I mean, all great points and very astute observations of the product and its giftability. We've uh, that stocking stuffer keyword kind of gave me the indication that yes, and converting for it really on Amazon just showed me, okay, people do recognize that a lot of people have this problem, and as I mentioned, I'm a pretty simple person. I overthink things sometimes, but I wouldn't say I overthought this product. And I think that's why it resonates with a lot of people. I mean, a lot of people just say, why didn't I think of that? It just makes sense. Like it's just a little
Mm,
brick. Like, yeah, that's right. Which you had mentioned, just the name and whatnot. Cord brick. It was originally the anti-gravity cord brick, even though it kind of utilizes gravity. So I cut that part out. It just
mm,
went with cord brick, one word. But yeah, just kind of realizing that it was giftable. We started selling it as a gift item and started trying to do some marketing for that. Hired a publicist, asked her to get us on gift lists. She successfully was able to get us on the Today Show last year as a stocking stuffer, as well as in some other news broadcasts. Rich on Tech, who's out in LA, does the NBC local affiliate out there, highlighted our product, and seeing that just even further, and then getting lots of sales from those events. I had heard so many different times, can I put my logo on the product? And so we entered the promotional product space because, as you said, corporate gifting just seems like a perfect fit for this product. And we've been able to get a few promotional orders so far. We're working on getting more inventory in the U.S. that is unpackaged, if you will, because usually I was boxing up the product in overseas and then shipping in here, but you've got to print logos on it, so it's better to have unboxed product here, print the logos, put them in the box, and or no box, and get them to your corporate gifting, because given that nobody has a solution to something like this, it's when people get it as a gift, they're likely to use it, and because it can be used for so many different things. So as you pointed out, it's we're very fortunate to have that possibility with this product. So we just kind of discovered that earlier this year, really started to focus in that space, and so I think we've got a ton of room to grow there and a ton of potential.
indeed, indeed. Great stuff. So let me take you through the whole journey you've taken, and I've drawn a little doodle for you here, and then I would like to share my observation on it. So you started day zero, where you got the idea. It took you around a year almost to get the MVP ready for you, and that's the point where you started looking at the sales and etc. After that, you tried your website with your marketing budget. It didn't work out well. You went to the flea market. That's where you found out, like, okay, this is how I have to sell this product. And then the aha moment came when you started pushing it on the Amazon, where you got like amazing rating and everything. And then while you're doing this process, you resolved the proper, or you figured out the proper messaging for the product, so that everybody understand. I have interviewed somebody called Mr. Samuel. His journey was exactly similar like you. He manufactures socks, Italian fabric socks, very premium socks, and the USP he sells is that he customizes them for their corporate customers and then sell it. And the whole process, it takes only 7 days. This is a very good time frame for corporates to get the product in their hand. The way he
Yeah.
converted that business from a $0 one day to a $2 million in a year is through partnerships. So what he did was, and that this is what I wanted to discuss with you is, so Mr. Samuel actually sells this socks thing, right? Very premium socks, Italian socks, right? And what he did is he reached out to all these custom office supply stores, right? And then he signs a contract with them. The contract says that the day you get me the order, let's say for 2,000 pieces, that order will be delivered to your customers in 7 days. subject to all the printing requirement is signed off. Yeah. And now with this kind of business model, he has more than 34, I think on top of my something close to that number, partners all across the US who actually list his product on their website as a customizable product, because they don't, they're not the expert in the same niche. And then the moment they have the order, they have like a percentage of revenue. How amazing cool concept it is, because he doesn't have to pay any single penny for marketing or anything. Just go to the partners who do this
That's
customized product.
that's basically exactly what I'm trying to do, and hoping to get to the point of having running smoothly is having those printing partners here in the U.S. and other people pushing the product. There are some promotional companies that my product could fit in quite well with. That there's thousands of reps that are repping these lines, hundreds, thousands of reps that are repping these lines all over the U.S. and bringing different samples to folks that are looking for new promotional items and branded items. And as you may know, and your friend probably knows, new stuff in the promotional space is where it's at. I mean, that everybody wants something new because the same old thing has been seen a lot, and to some degree, you're never sure if you're getting the best deal or what quality you're getting of some things. That there's a lot of people make. It's almost decision paralysis. But when there's only one supplier or one person that makes something that's unique and new, it can lead to big success. So that's what we're hoping for.
Awesome. And if you want, I can connect you both if that's something you're looking forward to, and then you can get together and potentially figure out a way to help each other.
Yeah, definitely.
Great. Cool. So Nick, amazing interaction. I loved our conversation. Let's get back to our questionnaires. I know we are running out of time right now, but I'm enjoying this conversation so much that I want to ask you a personal question, if you don't mind. Throughout your journey and experience, there must have been some valuable lessons learned, right? If you don't mind sharing, could you reflect on your experience and tell us about one mistake or a setback that you encountered along the way? And additionally, what advice would you give our listeners based on this experience?
The first thing that comes to mind there is the time and the difficulty it is of hiring of new people, new agencies, anybody to do anything, basically. I think most entrepreneurs feel like after you start doing it for a while, you realize how much work is involved, and you realize how small mistakes can really lead to big problems. And so you get this sense of how everything has to be perfect in a certain way. And if it's not done that way, that's a problem. And so when you're looking for people to join you, whether it's agencies or whether it's employees, there's a line of how much you need to tell them what to do versus how much you need to let them do what they do well. It's helpful to find people who know more in a certain region or area about that area of expertise than you do, so that they can kind of teach you a little bit about it, and you don't have to instruct them, because it's difficult being the expert at everything and then trying to have to catch everybody else up. So there's definitely a balance there. And then agencies that you work with, marketing agencies and different types of contractors, to some degree, it's not really in their best interest to work too hard and go over their expectations, or go over your expectations, if you will. So you've got to do a good job as a founder of deciding if what they're going to be working on is really going to pay off and bring you profit, because there may be another way to achieve the same thing for less, And I've wasted quite a lot of money dealing, trying to get marketing agencies and people to develop content and things like that, and websites and other things that, in hindsight, if I had kind of went the less expensive route, it probably would have been better for me, or maybe done a little bit more research before making the decision on any of those, people getting more references, seeing that they had expertise in that area, and also myself understanding the expectations of how long something might take, and if we were
Hmm.
going to have the cash to do that and then wait, or if the cash would be better spent on something else.
Got it. Got it. No, I totally relate to that because I have burned my hands a couple of times too while recruiting people to work on the projects I've been working upon. So yeah, thanks for that advice. So okay, we should wrap up now. We're gonna go into our lightning round. I've got 6 quick fire questions for you, so you can answer them as quickly as you can. Are you ready? Yeah. Okay. Great. What book would you recommend to our audience and why?
If you said book, then I would say I love biographies of other entrepreneurs. Steve Jobs and Elon's biography, both by Walter Isaacson. I read Ben Franklin's biography, but he's not. I guess he's sort of an entrepreneur, but I
Cool.
learned a lot from those.
Cool. What one attribute or characteristic in your mind of a successful founder?
You've got to have a vision of what is going to happen in your head. It might not happen like that, but you've got to have the ability to kind of see and predict how people will react to something, and what people will think about something. And so then there's got to be a little bit of stubbornness and determination for people to not talk you out of it. Because if you can be easily swayed to, that it's not going to work, then you're at some point you're going to quit because it gets difficult.
Indeed. What's your favorite personal productivity tool or habit?
I think if you asked about a habit, then the habit that has done best for me is intermittent fasting, and then helping not to eat too late before I go to sleep. It's helped me get a full night's sleep, feel rested. I don't feel tired because I don't really eat lunch. I eat a late dinner and then like a little snack, maybe after that. But usually just 1.5 meals a day, bigger than average meal usually. But that has really helped me save time, regulate my appetite, reduce my calories, increase my energy, improve my sleep, etc. Everything just kind of follows from that.
Awesome. What's an interesting fun fact about you that most people don't know?
I am a kite surfer, and I used to be a kite surfing instructor. And I've hang glided. I could probably get a hang gliding license if I wanted to. And so I really enjoy adventure sports. I like stand up paddleboarding, stand up paddle surfing. And then, yeah, kite surfing is my number one, though. It's the best.
Awesome. Nick, thank you so much for joining me and sharing your story, unpacking last years of building this business and some of the ups and downs along the way. If people want to check out Codebreak, or they want to get in touch with you, what's the best way to do it?
Just go to cordbrick.com, cordbrick.com. You can also follow us at Cordbrick on any social media platform. You can email me, nick@cordbrick.com. And I'm Nick Barrett on LinkedIn.
Awesome. Nick, thank you so much for joining us today and sharing your inspiring journey and the impactful work you're doing through Codebreak. Thank you all for all of your inputs, and it's been an absolute pleasure having you on Founders Podcast.
Been a pleasure being here, Ash. Thank you so much.
Thank you all for tuning into this episode of Founders Podcast. I hope you found our conversation with Nick insightful and inspiring. If you're a founder or industry experts interested in sharing your story on our podcast, please don't hesitate to reach out. If you enjoyed this show, make sure to go on cordbrick.com or get in touch with Nick on LinkedIn. We have a lineup of incredible guests and valuable insights coming your way. So stay inspired, stay motivated, and keep building.